Well, hey y'all, I am back and you are here, so let's do this thing. The last 6 months I tried something different. I got off of social media and started doing these once per month mega monthly videos and accompanying newsletter on the 3 P's of my life: the personal, the professional, and the political. Last month was video 1 and I have promised you 3, so this one is numero dos, also known as Shnaim in Israel. Didn't know I knew Hebrew, did you? Well, I do. 8 years of bilingual Jewish school, baby. The political. 2/22/22, that lucky day that the emergency COVID ordinance finally came down. 18 days shy of 2 years. That is wild to think about, isn't it? The masks came off, and life began to feel semi-normal again. And not a day too soon. Through thick and thin, there is not a place in the world I would have rather ridden out this pandemic. So thank you, genuinely thank you, to the first responders, the healthcare workers, the doctors, city staff, teachers, parents, business owners, everybody who made it possible to get through this pandemic. This year we celebrate not 1, not 2, but 3 state champions right here in this tiny little town. Way to go, skiers. Woo! Waste. It's what's for dinner. Our landfill is filling up quick, and despite being a environmentally conscious community, truth is that we are one of the most consumptive places on God's green earth. So, to reclaim our environmental leadership, we have adopted a goal of being net zero waste. And last month, we put some teeth in that motherfucker by passing a prohibition on organics waste in our landfill and started a training program starting in the core with our local businesses and eventually expanding out to the whole community to take that waste and turn it into haste. Whatever that means. 3 years ago, I proposed Aspen coin, our own local currency based on the blockchain intended to support local businesses. And that idea got dragged down into COVID faster than this terrifying clip I found on YouTube. Now that COVID is hopefully behind us, it's time to start thinking about how Web3 and blockchain can help us solve some of our most pressing problems. I sat down with emerging local legend Bear Matthews, what a dreamboat, founder of Vileto, I don't know what to do with modern words, which is weird because I can't spell either, on how blockchain can best serve us. For example, on blockchain, you can fractionalize a REIT, which means we could buy a building in downtown Aspen, program it to only have locally serving affordable businesses, and all of our community members could participate in the upside of the appreciation. The ski instructor could buy a $5 share, and the billionaire could buy a $5 million share. We all share in the experience and the financial upside. And that's just scratching the surface. We can revolutionize voting, affordable housing, other things I'm looking at on my notes. More. It just says more. That was the whole thing. Okay, go to this link below and hear more.
The moratorium on residential development and short-term rentals. How's that going?
Yeah, pretty good. We're on track for our June 8th completion date.
A government moratorium on time? You don't say.
I know, it's crazy, but we are. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me. The moratorium is designed to make improvements in 4 primary areas: affordable housing, short-term rental, those guys, environmental impacts, oh, poor panda, and the pace and scale of residential development. These 4 areas are a lot less like the 4 perfectly distinct areas in one of those tubs of popcorn, and a lot more like one of those big mixed barrels of popcorn. And Just like those popcorn flavors, it is rarely getting the perfect caramel or the perfect cheddar that yields the best bite. It is often that perfect combination of just 2 cheddars and 1 caramel that just luxuriates those taste buds. That's that Chicago mix, what you know about it. The point is, it's not about one individual policy. It's about how they mix, how they work together. This stuff is complicated, which is why it required a moratorium to do all this work under. For a cheat sheet, check out Resolution 43, which we passed on March 22nd, and which you could read in full with all the little policy details right down here in this little link. I'm going to give you the top line details in each of the flavor areas that we're working on. But before I do, it's important for you to understand where we are in the process so y'all don't lose your minds, right? This is the part in the Top Chef episode where you already have your team. You know the challenge is to make an Asian dinner for 100 people, that you're going to have 2 hours to cook, and you've just picked up the cloche to get your ingredients. A lot of stuff is set, but a lot of different dishes can still emerge. So, for example, when I say limit zone districts that allow for STRs in the STR section, what I actually mean is that we've identified a problem, we've chosen a tool, we've presented our own ideas to staff. So for me, personally, I would set a quantifiable number that identifies what over-tourism means. Then set a maximum number of STRs before we hit that, and then start allocating STR permits based on those that make the most sense first. So, for example, traditional lodging zone district, then condo hotels that were built for that purpose, then primary residence holders, and so on down the list. Whatever remainder exists, you create an equitable means of assigning those. So a biannual lottery, for instance. That's just my idea. Other council members have presented their own.
Block of cheese.
And staff has done great research into what is working and not working in other communities. And we have heard a ton from you, the public, good ideas and refinements of ours. Over the next 2 months, all of that gets taken, studied, integrated, and a final policy emerges. Make sense? Great. Let's go. We have done and will continue to do a ton of public outreach on this, so you can be in the driver's seat if you want to. On affordable housing, we are doing a bunch of things to make affordable housing, the thing we need most, the highest and best use. Allowing affordable housing to pop up all over town without the city's dollar or hammer, because it is actually profitable for developers. This means making affordable housing allowable in all zone districts, upzoning to get more density on 100% affordable sites, making all 100% affordable projects by right, so people delivering the thing we want don't have to get dragged through the muck to get there, and making the city of Aspen a purchaser of credits to guarantee a return when you deliver the thing that we want. Thank you. These things will work best with a reasonable balance of residential and short-term rental use. To achieve this, we will be looking at limiting the zone districts where STRs are allowed, capping the number of STRs or days of rental, working on enforcement for community impacts and general life safety, and new taxes or fees to support affordable housing or other community impacts. Managing the pace and scale of residential development will discourage the non-residential uses we don't want, vacancies and STRs. Make developing affordable housing relatively more desirable, improve the quality of our neighborhoods, and create demand for credits and affordable housing mitigation. To achieve this, we're going to button up the legal stuff with a generation and mitigation study. Then we are going to set a quota for the total number of major projects that can come through. Look at the definition of what demolition means to figure out what goes into that bucket, and explore a new point system that creates a competition for what the community wants. We will change rules on mass and scale to make sure new homes fit in with community context, eliminate exemptions for things like mega basements, raise mitigation rates on residential builds, and make sure that every project is going through the public process so it receives the neighbor scrutiny it deserves. And lastly, we need to be kind to our environment 80% of our waste in the landfill is construction waste, which means it's time for new rules on deconstruction, recycling, landfill use, and building standards. So that's it in a giant fucking
nutshell.
Don't freak out, don't celebrate, participate. We are doing a ton of public involvement and not the bullshit cover your butt so you can say, we've done public outreach kind of stuff. We are going into the lion's den. We are meeting one-to-one and many with the development community. We are talking to the realtors who are suing us. We are meeting with Bill Guth and those who have signed a petition to overturn these rules. Why? Because good policy must hold up to scrutiny. We are not scared. We are involved, engaged, and actively listening. We want everyone to bring their best pushback, to inspire us with their best ideas, to poke holes and to stress test our work so that it works in delivering the results that you deserve. Our opportunity is to realize that good ideas can come from anywhere, including from you. So email this little email, hopefully I figured out how to put down below, or just reach out to me directly and I will get you plugged in your zone of genius. If you don't speak up now, somebody else will decide your future. And that's cool, but there'll be no complaining later. Haven't had enough political yet? Well, maybe it is time for you to step up to the plate yourself and join one of the local boards or commissions shaping our future. Planning and zoning, historical preservation, next gen, and more. And if you really want to hit a grand slam, there is a local election coming up in less than a year from now. That's crazy. If you're interested in running for a position, hit me up. I'm happy to talk you through it. We always need good candidates. And now, mercifully, the second P, the professional. This spring at Skyrun felt like Christmas or New Year's, which is to say, like, being a 24/7 punching bag is not a nice or welcome experience. My initial reaction was to interpret the ugly behavior that I was witnessing as the spilling over of the Christmas, New Year's traditional guest and behavior into the rest of the year. But here's what's interesting. I recently hosted our head of marketing and owner relations who works across many locations from all income strata. And what he said is that this is happening everywhere, which is interesting. And actually gave me a sigh of relief because this is not a Aspen problem, this is a world problem. Now, in my estimation, there are two things going on here. On the sunny side, this is simply unique COVID stresses and impingements being pushed on to those people who are trying to serve you. As COVID subsides, these behaviors will as well, and the sun will shine once again. The cloudy possibility is that this is just a general change in human social ability, driven by the times, technology, and trauma. And these things are here to stay. In either case, human behavior is contagious, so turn those frowns upside down and start manifesting in this bitch. Last stop, all aboard the therapy, the personal. This month, I got to participate in a youth mental health event, primarily high schoolers from Aspen to Parachute. And these kids have struggled, and they are choosing to take that struggle and channeling it into making change for other kids. I am always astonished and replenished by our next generation. I genuinely can't wait to live in their world. Keep turning that pain into gain, baby. There will be a public event with the result of their work at the Wheeler in the coming months. And don't worry, when it's live, you will be getting an invite. I finally cashed in on those icons. And took a trip to Big Sky and Taos in the last 2 months. Skiing always makes me feel like a 3-year-old, and these trips surrounded my beloved, her family, and some of my best friends were no different. These trips also provided for me some much overdue perspective. So here's the download. Big Sky felt like fast fashion, cheap eats. There was no discernible community. I mean, it was like an alien landed at a ski resort. They had heated seats on the lift, for God's sake. That said, the mountain is awesome. Taos, on the other hand, had so much soul and character. The most expensive dinner in town was $60, which was so refreshing. But on the other side, the coffee shop we went to, where I ordered my, coconut milk caramel extra hot foamy latte of deliciousness, got robbed the day before. And the lady just kind of tacked up a 2x4 and said, that happens all the time. So there's trade-offs. I continued to work on myself, as I do, like those little Lego guys. Or these people. Maybe. As you know, I have long experienced anxiety, which for me is the physical manifestation or presentation of me outsourcing my emotional safety and self-worth to other people. Now, in February, I was invited to participate in a traditional Native American church medicine ceremony. We had to sit cross-legged for nearly 16 hours without moving in an outdoor teepee in February in Colorado. And it was revealing. My first ceremony several years ago in Costa Rica, I was gripped, like terrified. This time, however, I was stocked, locked, loaded, and ready. The lesson was clear before I even entered the teepee. If with intention, purpose, and repetition, I can overcome the fear of a psychoactive compound, then with the same tools, certainly I can grow to be comfortable being myself. That I already have every tool I need to be the person I want to be. And finally, the main event, my little sister, Lindsay Raquel Upton Spatz, celebrated her 25th birthday this month. I got to spend time with her and our family down in Denver. She is the most kind, compassionate, and wise 25-year-old I have ever met. And now, inspired by Jon Stewart, your moment of Zen. Spin us out, Lindsay! Till next month, y'all.